What drink do you want? Yeah. Okay. No, I am not asking for water because this is Coyote Ugly on this episode of That Song from That Movie. I want what every man wants.
Oh, what was it? I literally watched it earlier. What was it?
Is it the Punisher comic?
No, it wasn't that. It was Breakfast.
It is Breakfast.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you for joining That Song from That Movie, the journey through the very best and worst of movie songs. I am your no coyote, all ugly host Dietrich. And as always, we're joined by an ex-kindergarten teacher and a former nun who just escaped from the convent and is tired of being the only virgin in New York City, Alex.
So tired. So tired.
I'm genuinely shocked you got that opening.
Well, like I say, I literally watched it earlier, so...
I've often thought Alex does look a lot like Bridget Moynihan.
Well, that's a compliment. Thank you.
Got the legs, Alex.
Thanks, I guess.
And also with us is the original Coyote, just a small town gal trying to make it in the big bad city, Ben.
Yep. And that bad city is Norwich. It's very, very bad.
It's not like Pygmy North Dakota or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's always Pygmy. It's always Gary, Indiana. That's what most films do. Poor Gary, Indiana. Wherever that is.
Yeah.
Poor Gary.
I would like to know in the past fortnight, what have you been watching?
Cha-cha-cha. I watched the Banshees of Inisherin. Or the Banshee of Inisherin.
What do you think?
I thought it was good, actually. I think one of his best films, Martin McDonagh.
You didn't like Three Billboards, though?
I didn't like Three Billboards. I kind of semi-enjoyed Seven Psychopaths. I can't really remember In Bruges. I think I've seen it, but it was a really long time ago. So I maybe should rewatch that. But I thought it was really good, yeah. I thought it was... They somehow managed to get so much from so little a premise. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a film that just had so little in way of the story. It was just like one really small thing, and they managed to make an entire film of that, which was impressive in itself. And like, he's making some sort of comment about the Irish Civil War. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I feel like I'd have to watch it a few more times.
Colin Farrell does play an Irishman well.
Well, yeah, for once.
A super Irishman. That's why he's been trying all his career to be sort of an American. Or at least his early career.
Is he nominated for an Oscar?
He won the Golden Globe. Well, he won the Golden Globe because he was considered a comedy or musical. So take from that what you will.
Yeah. So I watched that. I also watched the film Emily, which is a film about Emily Bronte, which was watchable. I mean, there was a lot.
That does not sell me. You would have to have said that was an absolutely Bobby Dazzler.
No, it wasn't. It was good. It was fun, and it was a good watch. But there was a lot of like. I wouldn't have said I'm one of those people who is quite different from there's not a lot of historical accuracy in it.
No, does sound like you.
But there were a few like random pot shots at Charlotte Bronte in this film, which were random. And
the vendetta that most people have.
Yeah, and they also inserted this weird kind of like love story in there that didn't really work with the message of well, it kind of worked with the message of this film, but the message of this film wasn't really what you would associate with the Brontes. It was kind of odd.
You have done nothing to sell me this film, Alex. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Yeah, well, a lot of location shots in Yorkshire.
How much similarities does it have to Coyote Ugly?
There's a sex scene in both of them.
Okay, yeah.
So
that's sex scene.
That's about it.
That's about it. I watched Babylon.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on in that film.
Yeah.
Is any of it good though?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of good, but then it's just so messy. It's so messy, and I don't think it ends well. I think it was quite a good film up until like the end, and it just like, I don't know. There's too many strands, and I don't know where to go. Let's just throw everything in a pot.
This is the Damien Chazelle film, isn't it?
Which I mean, I generally like. Whiplash is awesome. La La Land's awesome. The First Man was decent.
Is Ryan Gosling in this film?
He's going down. No, he's going downhill though. There's only one film you need to look forward to, Ryan Gosling, and that is Barbie.
Well, I am looking forward to that. Yeah.
I am looking forward to that. Why they cast him though? Is he like 40 now or something? I think he's past his Ken phase.
Just while we're talking about Barbie film, have you seen the cast and the character list for the Barbie film?
I have not. No.
There's just one thing that really caught my eye, which is just Will Ferrell as like a toy company. It was like, what's the company that makes Barbies?
Mattel.
Mattel. It was like Mattel owner of Mattel. I was like, how's that going to come up? Yeah, CEO of Mattel.
Is it like a Lego movie?
Well, I was thinking, like, is that where they've literally got the idea from the Lego movie? Because it was Will Ferrell in that as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's the fact that this is also written by, like, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, who only writes usually very Jewish, like, talky films.
Well, but you say
like,
that.
Central New York, apart from his latest one.
Well, no, but do you know the story of Noah Baumbach and Marriage Story? And that, you know, the character in that, the Adam Driver character, is having this huge existential crisis about this play that he's putting on like off Broadway.
Right.
But actually, what Noah Baumbach had just written at that time that he was writing the film to Marriage Story was the script to Madagascar 3.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And that really puts the film Marriage Story in a different light.
It does. Well, you've ruined that one for me.
Yeah. There you go.
Do you watch that?
So I haven't watched any films, shock, but I've made use of a week's free trial of Paramount Plus and watched the entirety of the latest season of Ink Master. And
God damn it.
Cheesy as always. It's always good fun. And I also binge watched the entirety of the Captain Pike Star Trek show, Strange New Worlds.
Right, yeah. Is it any good?
Which was really good.
Okay.
I was skeptical. I liked the character on Discovery, but I also worried it was going to be like Discovery, which thankfully it wasn't.
Yeah.
Is Captain Pike the captain before Captain Kirk, and he's in that episode where he's in like with the beeper buzzer thing?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so like part of the show is that he's seen a vision that's going to happen, and he keeps trying to stop it from happening.
Oh.
I say keep, like it's one of those things where it's like a different story every week, and they just tag on like the occasional "Don't forget about this" in the background.
Remember, this might happen.
But I thought it was good value for the £0 that I paid to watch it, and that free trial has been officially cancelled as of 25 minutes ago.
Sponsors.
I mean, I couldn't find anything else to watch. I watched like 10 minutes of that Fairly Odd Parents reboot.
What?
My God, it was terrible.
Fairly Odd Parents reboot?
I hear about a lot of this stuff from D.
Did it have Doug Dimmadome of the Dimdale Dimmadome?
You mean Doug Dimmadome of Home of the Dimdale
Dimmadome?
Well, not in the first 10 minutes, I can tell you that. But it was live action, which was like the thing I was worried about. Like Cosmo and Wanda are cartoons, but it's live action, and it was like...
Oh, it's making me shiver. Why?
It looks so cheap. It had a weird laugh track.
Is it still Timmy Turner?
At the very beginning, yeah, but he's giving him to somebody else. I don't know why, but they completely ignored the film where Drake Bell plays him.
Well,
yes,
Good.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
One of those little mysteries of life.
Nothing is safe. Nothing is sacred.
What better way to celebrate Diane Warren following us on Twitter than covering one of her many classics? This episode we are covering LeAnn Rimes' Can't Fight the Moonlight from Coyote Ugly. So to find out what was happening in the world when the movie came out...
Time for some history.
Hi, Diane. You doing okay? Could be your year. Right. August 2000. Remember it well?
Now,
Now,
we'll see.
Alex, I specifically ask you because one of your favourite films came out in August 2000. And I mean that completely jokingly.
Oh, right, so it's not Shrek.
It's not Coyote Ugly.
There's only one Jimmy Grimble.
God.
Now, listeners, you've probably never heard of this film.
I don't think I have.
You've never heard of...
You've never heard of this film, D.
It doesn't ring any bells at all.
You've never heard of There's Only One... Alex, can you explain it in, like, less than 30 seconds?
So there's
Don't just say the film title.
No, there's a boy who finds a magic pair of football boots, but they're like really old boots, aren't they? They're like ancient football boots, and he goes on to play for. He plays like the Man City youth team. It's like it's set in Manchester, but then there's a really great bit at the end where like Man United
the
tried
scouts
to
of
sign
Man
him.
United come
Yeah, and he's like, I'm City. Something like that. Anyway.
It stars brilliant, like Robert Carlyle, Ray Winston.
The two famous people from Manchester.
We'll leave it there. I don't think anyone else in the film didn't go on to anything, but that was the highlight in the cinematic stratosphere of this month, not counting Coyote Ugly, of course. Other films that stood out to me: Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet the Wolfman. Remember that one well? That's the crossover that we all needed. It made me also stand out because I thought, Can't Fight the Moonlight, Wolfman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Diane wrote. Maybe she wrote it for that film.
She'd just been watching Alvin and the Chipmunks.
It was supposed to be Alvin singing it.
Now, I also like having this thing where I find a weird, terrible film of the time and then show you guys the trailer.
Oh, God, here we go.
Because we are an audio medium and I love to just alienate our listeners. But I've come across something that I actually watched at the time, and it's called Witchblade. Have you seen Witchblade?
Nope.
Doesn't ring a bell.
I'm going to show you the trailer of Witchblade, and I want to know your thoughts, because it is pure August 2000.
It's pure August 2000.
Pure specifically.
November 11th, 2000.
Oh God, it literally says it in the opening. TNT original.
That voiceover, it's the voiceover. In a world.
Yes, it is. Oh, good. I feel like there's a real thing of like bad guys in this era, like having no collars.
Yeah, or incredibly large collars.
Yes, it's one or the other. Oh my God, what is this? Oh no, they're not going to show us what the ancient artifact is.
It's a glove.
Surely it's the name of it's a Witchblade.
It's the Witchblade, but
No,
it's a glove.
It's
a glove.
But it's a glove with an eye.
It's a glove with an eye.
It's reminding me it's like a precursor to Bulletproof Monk. This.
Yeah, it's a mixture between both. Yeah, it is basically.
Another great film from this period. There's a lot of weather.
Yeah,
in this film.
you can pause it because I think it shows the entire series in that one trailer.
Oh right. Oh, is it a TV show?
It was made into a TV show. Yeah,
Of course it was.
So NYPD detective Sarah Pazzini's main goal in life was to bring down Tommy Gallo. Tommy Gallo, I just got that. The hitman who killed her father, best friend, and eventually her partner.
Jeez.
While chasing down one of Gallo's thugs, she acquires the Witchblade, an enchanted armoured glove once used by Joan of Arc that deflects bullets.
But why would it need... Like, there wouldn't have been bullets in that
Why
time
did it need to
period.
deflect bullets? Well, that's because Joan of Arc had the Witchblade, Alex.
But how did they know that bullets would be invented? Like, what is it made out of?
It also produces visions and neatly compacts itself into a bracelet.
That's convenient.
And stylish.
Yeah. See, we need to go back to August 2000, because also in August 2000 came Coyote Ugly. Not really a segue, but here we are.
Yeah.
Should have done the Alvin and Chipmunks one afterwards. Right. For anyone who is not aware, Coyote Ugly is a American musical of sorts, comedy drama film based on the Coyote Ugly Saloon in New York City, which is mostly famous because its bartenders dance on the bar. It had various rising and soon-to-be quickly fading stars, such as Piper Perabo, as Violet Sanford, who leaves her small hometown in New Jersey to try and make it as a songwriter in the big city, where she takes up a temp role at Coyote Ugly, where she grows confidence, friendships, and a love affair. From the earlier things you were saying, you guys have watched this very recently. Or re-watched it, should we say.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise that I've watched this for the first time in preparation for this recording.
That does surprise me.
In full that's the little addendum there. I remember trying to watch this many moons ago. Like, when you have one of those sort of like flickering shards of memories, and you can't quite tell if it's actually a real memory or something you put together, or
Mandela effect.
Yeah, kind of. I've got this sort of memory of trying to watch this, like, I'm going to say after like a Champions League match on ITV.
Very weirdly specific.
So quite late, because it would have been the news afterwards. Maybe I fell asleep during the news and I woke up and this was on, and that's why it's all like a flickering memory.
That's why, I wonder why it's stuck in your mind, Dietrich.
Anyway, I've watched it in full now.
Yep, thoughts.
And I'm almost ashamed to say that I enjoyed it.
Almost.
Not in a sort of, ooh, it's a girls' movie, I'll get cooties way, but more in a sort of, this feels like every single Hallmark movie, Christmas Hallmark movie is trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But I think unlike most Hallmark movies I've ever seen, I've not watched them all. Alex probably has.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he probably has.
I feel like this one has a bit more heart and a bit more credibility, probably due to the song, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I think it just feels like a bigger budget film, presumably because it had an actual budget compared to the Hallmark movies I'm comparing it to.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels richer than its made for TV equivalent. So maybe that it sort of gets your guard down. Like, all the tropes are there, all the cliches. Yes. I think a popular rock band once said it best when they said she's just a small town girl living in a lonely world, taking the midnight train to anywhere, which in this case New York City, and the city boy is from New South Wales, not South Detroit.
Well, yeah. Are you saying this film was based entirely on one song?
Well, I mean, it is based on one song, just not the song by Journey. But if it was based on Don't Stop Believing, then they took a lot of creative liberties to somehow fit in the bar into that scenario.
I mean, yeah.
I enjoyed the film.
For a film it was based on one news article in GQ about a bar. So the owner did well.
Yeah. Was the bar called Coyote Ugly?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's based on a bar in New York, which then became a chain.
Yes. I do know that bit, that it became a chain. I didn't know if it was something that became a chain since, because there's one in Birmingham.
Oh, really? I think it's the one in Camden Market. There's a bar where people seem to be dancing on it, but I don't know if that was a Coyote Ugly named place.
Yeah. Well, I know there's one in Birmingham because we've got tickets to see Paramore in a few weeks. And my wife keeps going, we could go. You could do research for your podcast, sort of thing.
What a lovely wife.
And I'm like, well, I don't really want to go. If it's like the films, it seemed very sweaty and very cramped. I would rather have a table and sit down with a drink. But sure, yeah, okay, I'll report back.
It's a good point. It actually says that the bar in real life was quite hipster, but it comes across as very biker in the film.
Oh, yeah. In a fun way, guys.
Go on now.
Well, I think I should cover it by saying this is not, for anyone who hasn't seen it, this is not a good film.
Yeah.
It's not a good film, but there is something about it that is just very easy to watch. Like Dee talked about, like, the Hallmark films, and I think, like, what kind of makes those films is that they sort of fall into, like, these sort of, like, rhythms and cadences that are just so well trodden that you just know them, so it kind of lulls you along into thinking, like, it's like, this is a film. It's like a lazy river, like, arching, like, round sort of like a regular worn bend. You just sort of just sit there and it just takes you to the end of the film and you're like, yeah. But I mean, it's not good. Like, I don't know what it's trying to be, because it's certainly not a drama, because there isn't any sense of, like, true jeopardy or grit at all, really. I mean, it tries to put foursome in there, but none of it really feels like anything bad is going to come from it. But yet there is, like, there's almost, like, zero humor in this film as well.
Oh yeah.
It's remarkably, like, unfunny. It's like it tries a couple of times, but never really, like, commits to being funny. So it's not like a romantic comedy. It's not like a kind of a drama in the normal sense. So it just kind of exists in this world of just being a film. I don't really need to say more than that.
Even more so, Alex, John Goodman's scenes, almost all of them were added post.
Yeah, that makes
feels like it.
Because apparently with I guess early audiences, they really liked his character, so they just made some more scenes with John Goodman.
But it's like while we're on John Goodman's character, like, what is going on with that character? Like, there's a scene where he's like, they're all randomly, they just appear at a wedding, which I don't know if it's because I missed a bit, but this seemed to be like no setup to the wedding. They were just there, but they were there separately. And then he was like, then they started dancing to take a photo, and he was like, I've never thought I would say that I would be ashamed of you, right? Because she's dancing on tables at Coyote Ugly. But then, like, all that really happens between there and him being okay with it is that he gets hit by a car. And then he's like...
Changed your life, Al?
Well, I could kind of get, like, if you made him reassess things. There isn't really any reason why his opinion on that would change, because it's a very strong opinion that he has, which, again, feels harsh based on what he's seen her doing, which wasn't much. Well, I mean, it was something. I guess I won't spoil anything that happens in the actual film for anyone who hasn't seen it. But that character is just weird. It's just really weird.
Yeah.
And that is, so even when he's in the hospital, there's like a really strange gag where one of the nurses has given him like cologne, and then he's going to take him on a date. Doesn't make any sense. And then like at the end, he's like suddenly okay with the Coyote Ugly because she's now had a successful song, and that makes it fine.
Or he maybe just had hypoxia and he had a stroke.
Well, I thought, because they hinted a lot of like him being unhealthy and stuff, and then when they said he was in the hospital, I was like, oh yeah, obviously he's had some sort of heart attack or something. It's like, no, he's just been hit by a car.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it? It does feel like it's alluding to like a some sort of weight related sort of emergency.
But for people who haven't seen it, you have never seen a person who has been hit by a car look so okay. Speak so normally. Like, just has a regular conversation with everybody, like nothing happened. And then there's just a little hint later on that he's like, well, I mean, of course I was in that car accident. And it's like, well, it's good to be reminded us, because it could have been very easy to forget.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I think this is, I don't mind the film. When I rewatched it recently, I think it's one of those, it's like the music cheat code. Like, I think if you make things musical or music based, if the music's decent, it kind of gets like off a pass, similar to like you can win an Oscar by just singing well, even if your acting's pretty crap. I'm looking at you, Barbara. Oh. But I think that's it. It's generally a cheat because people are like, oh wow, people singing or people performing on stage, and it feels like you're at a concert or a gig where you generally like taken away by the atmosphere and the bass and lots of other people are around you enjoying themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's what Coyote Ugly does in a lot, because a lot of it is those bar scenes. Or at least they're the only entertaining bits.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say is, if I was, like, I don't know, 14, 15-year-old girl when this movie came out, I think I would be all about this movie. Like, just like 100% thinking this is the coolest shit. Like, that'll be me in a few years.
Most critics
clubbing,
say,
drinking, dancing.
Yeah, exactly. But most critics hated this film because they said it was like cheap sex thrills for boys. Like, this is a boys' film. Like, almost all the critics said that it's just smut.
Is it?
It is a little bit male gazy at point. There's
I think
there's
that's
creepy bits. Like, there's just the one part that really stood out to me where she's just on the phone to her dad, and for some reason the camera just really lingers in specific areas. It's like, why? She's just on the phone speaking to John Goodman. I don't understand.
Yeah. It definitely has that and does accentuate that, and I think there's also part of the general sex appeal they're trying to put forward for what the Coyote Ugly image is. But I guess Jerry Bruckheimer, who produced it, he said like it's a film about female empowerment, which I see, but then most critics were saying like it's softcore pap. Like, it's just a bit of like, it's for horny boys. And what was it that was there? Peter Travers of Rolling Stone said it's for horny boys and they're even hornier dads. Which is a very uncomfortable image. Like, come on, son, let's go and watch Coyote Ugly.
Have we just become like desensitized or something?
I don't know. I think because it was a film. I think when it's newer films and you have that more of a headspace when you're an adult, maybe like it's very you can be easily what's kind of going on in the general zeitgeist or in the media around you and critique it. Whereas when you're a kid, you're not really critiquing. You just kind of like put stuff on and like, oh yeah, it's everything's exciting or everything's enjoyable. You just kind of like, do I like it or not? Did I enjoy it or not? And that's kind of it. I think the critiquing of a purpose behind the film, it doesn't really sink in.
Yeah, I can see that. And I mean, it sort of begs the question whether or not there was an intention behind the film as well.
Well, I see none.
Exactly.
The film was directed by a guy called David McNally, who's from Liverpool. He only has one other directing credit.
Is it Jimmy Gerbil?
No, it's not. I wish there was that kind of connection. Kangaroo Jack.
Oh no!
Do you remember Kangaroo Jack?
Oh, yeah. If you've seen
I
that film,
do
you can't
actually.
forget it.
And yeah, even though it was panned by the critics, it was a commercial success. It crossed $113 million worldwide, and it has gained a bit of a cult following. I think there's a weird image of like seedy New York. There's the steam coming up from the vents of the night out, the kind of neon lights. There's something that seems to be alluring of that, even though it looks absolutely disgusting and nuts.
Everything's wet.
Yeah, everything looks wet. It's never raining, but everything's wet.
Mm. But I think that was kind of odd about the film, is that they go out of their way to show that side of the city, but actually everything that happens is like just super vanilla.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because it's like trying to look that where someone starts and their trajectory to the stars, you know, and she's singing in front of the concert at the end.
It wasn't much of a trajectory, was it? It was just like, yeah, an hour later, she's fine.
Well, I think it's supposed to allude to that she will go on to even more things.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like, there was no trajectory. It was just like from like nowhere to writing songs for LeAnn Rimes randomly.
Or vice versa. Kind of on the weird story of when you said about Noah Baumbach. Still can't get that out of my head. That's going to live rent free for a long time. Writing Madagascar 3. Kevin Smith did a rewrite of the final script, which I think is very weird. You know who else did a draft of this script? Carrie Fisher.
Oh, but she was like famous for doing like
little
loads of script things,
rewrites. Yeah. It was one of those, like, there's so many. I think one person was credited in the end with the screenplay, but apparently Kevin Smith said it went through like so many people. You can kind of tell, like, a lot of it just feels like, as we've discussed and Alex has kind of pointed out, it's all over the place. It's just tinkered to crap. And yeah, you read the notes on the film. It was so like, oh, we need to go back and do that thing. This looks wrong. You know, even stuff on the bar, like they didn't realise how tall Bridget Moynihan was, so they had to redesign the entire bar so she could actually fit. There was all these kind of problems. But like I say, it's had a bit of a following. So one of the very obviously popular elements of this film is the music. Now, there are a few songs that come up. All of them, which do appear in the film, are by LeAnn Rimes, but there is only one in particular, very famous, written by our lovely, hi Diane Warren.
Shit, I wasn't ready. Sorry.
Oh, go on.
Diane Warren.
It's for you, Dan. The song we're discussing is Can't Fight the Moonlight. As we say, written by Diane Warren, performed by American singer LeAnn Rimes on her second appearance on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
At least second, yeah.
At least second. So the song was released in the year 2000 for the film's album, and was one of 3 songs that LeAnn Rimes performed for the film. And the soundtrack was huge, and I think that drives the popularity of the film. It was a top 40 album for over a year on the Billboard charts. Like, it sold over 3 million copies. I think LeAnn Rimes, this was kind of her, I won't say her peak, because she kind of peaked at the start, but this was like the highest point before her drop-off. This was like the last stand of her, and then it kind of, she faded off into a lot of, I guess, just trying to be a normal 20-something-year-old adult, because that's something we will have to go into. But first, what are your thoughts on this song?
Well, it's obviously a banger. I mean...
Agreed.
Do you say anymore?
Absolutely.
When this film came out, this song was just like all over the music channels, and I think this is probably why the film is like in the subconscious of people of our generation so much, is because the music video is obviously like clips from the film. It's just very vivid in my mind, the music video to this song and her performing. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about the song other than it's just good and exceptionally catchy.
What about how it was used in the film then? Because
I didn't like its use in the film because the ending of this film is super underwhelming.
It is so underwhelming.
The final performance, because for anyone who's not watched it, basically the lead character, they kind of essentially make out that she has written this song, and then she performs this song at an open mic type event at the end. But it's like they just don't really give a lot of space for that scene. It's like over and done with really quickly, and it's just like shot in a really weird way. Like they don't even let her just perform it. It's kind of like,
well, it's probably because she's not performing it.
well, yeah, I mean maybe, but it's weird. It's weird. So I don't like its inclusion. So just before she performs it, there kind of is like the musical, the instrumental side of the song is played a little bit before. I was like, oh, I didn't realise this is when the song was used, until then she performs at the end. But yeah, I didn't love it. But the actual song itself... Because, well, actually, they do go into the LeAnn Rimes version afterwards, don't they, from memory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they even say, yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome LeAnn Rimes.
Yeah, and she's in the bar. Sorry.
And she's on the bar.
Yeah.
Which was a big surprise to me, because I just thought that was a performance for the music video.
Yes, as did I.
So when she actually popped up, I was like, oh shit, she's in the film?
Yeah.
As her?
Yeah. I think she auditioned for the film, properly. Which also comes up with problems, because, which we will go on to talk to. Yeah, what do you think, Dee?
As Alex said, this song is 100% a banger. I do love this song. It's one of the all-time great movie songs. I've written here by the movie song Go. I've been listening back to it, that isn't just the song itself, no, it's used in the film. It made me realise that we don't sort of get these kind of pop songs nowadays. Like, just, for example, the opening fanfare, as in the dun dun.
Yeah, it's kind of burlesque, isn't it?
It's like it goes, you need to pay attention here, where most songs today will start with like a rise. That's so much better, and it gets your attention. It pulled me in every single time. The song is definitely cheesy, though. I don't think you can escape that. It's definitely cheesy, but it's a pop anthem attached to a cheesy movie, so is the cheese coming from the song, or is the cheese coming from the film? I couldn't pull it apart, which I guess maybe attests to how good of a movie song it is.
Yeah.
That I hear the song, I think the film, I think the film, I think the song.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a great pop track in its own right, and I need more songs like this nowadays,
Well,
everybody.
I don't think LeAnn's going to give you any. So, I was surprised after I've seen this video, God, I must think how many times it was on, like MTV,
Box,
but the box. Yeah, everything, all the music channels when we were younger. She was 17 when she filmed that.
She's only 17 years out.
She's only 17. I mean, this is a constant issue with LeAnn Rimes. Is I guess most of her career and success was pre-18, or at least in her teens. Like, she's the youngest ever Grammy Award winner at 14. Her first album was, huge. She was a big country and western star, and then went through all the difficulties that any young star has in taking your parents to court. Getting difficulties between who was it, conservatorship, is it? Is that the word?
Oh,
The whole Britney, I guess, who owns you, who owns the rights to your things, and that's really difficult. And it feels weird. They make her just from off try and look so much older, and it feels weird that she auditioned for this film at like 17. I think she realised either while she was auditioning or when she didn't get it, that was probably the right thing. But this is also in interviews I've heard of hers recently, like looking back on her youth. So she might be, I guess, looking at that from a different lens. But I guess it was just that this is what maybe where she was at that point in her career, or girls of that generation, of that age, wanted to look like this, do these kind of things. And I guess that relates to a lot of the critical response to the film as well at the time.
Yeah, I guess that sort of goes back to what I was saying about, like, if I was of that age and a young girl, I'd be obsessed with this film. Like, the look, the aesthetic of the film.
Yes.
But also like the camaraderie as well and things like that. Like, they make it seem like a really it's sleazy but nice,
like a
way
sisterhood.
to be. Well, yeah,
like a
there's that side of it, isn't it? It's like they always have each other's back within the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's those like secret rules and stuff like that, isn't it? It feels like you're part of something. It's the whole what's the the initiation difficulty that they have in America of like frats and fraternities and sororities, of that you feel okay to do it to others because you've had it done to you, and this feeling like, oh, I'm part of something now because I know the secrets, and I've suffered, which a lot of the people seem to do in the film when you're new. Like, you get criticised and joked and laughed at, but then you become one of them. And therefore it feels like you've almost made it through to a point of, oh, I'm accepted in a very special group. But the thing, I think we're often desensitized slightly to it in Britain with the different ages, but she would have been 4 years away from being able to actually go in that bar without fake ID, which the film was very quick to brush aside during press releases when people brought this up. So for even back then, they were aware of it.
She was closer to going to the UK Coyote Ugly, though.
She could have gone to the Birmingham one. I feel like the Birmingham, like Coyote Ugly 2, Birmingham Boogaloo would have been a different film.
It sounds like the kind of film that I want to see, but never mind, it's me.
Set up a Kickstarter,
The
Alex.
Birmingham Boogaloo.
Yep. It's the only time that kind of slightly worked. Piper Perabo, she did make it in Hollywood, but maybe she'll make it in Villa. So, Piper Perabo, the lady who is like the main character of the film, who was one of those people, I feel like I always recognise her face, and I don't know if it's just because of this film, but she went on to very little. I think she might have had nominations for various things in like TV or like soaps, but she never had that in an ironic sense to how the film is trying to go. She never made it. But LeAnn Rimes' voice is used as her voice. It's just shifted in key. So when Piper's singing as LeAnn Rimes, is LeAnn Rimes just in a different key. or it's been slightly edited afterwards and docked. So when she's singing with Piper, it's just her singing
It's a
twice.
duet.
Yeah, so she's duetting with
Singing
herself.
her.
Yeah.
It's interesting that because when she was doing that performance, it was really thin. The voice sounded really thin, and that's what lent itself to me being like really underwhelmed by it. It's like it's not a very powerful performance whatsoever. Because like the thing is, like they make such a big thing about her music, but her music is terrible. Like I would not sign her. So and there's that weird scene where there's that guy across the way like dancing to like R&B music, and then she starts like freestyling, and it's like this sounds terrible.
Oh god,
terrible.
Oh, God, I hate that scene. I hate that scene.
I almost didn't want her to make it.
that felt like it was written for Pitch Perfect.
Oh god, oh yeah, it is a bit of that. At least there was a bit of tongue in cheek with Pitch Perfect. This was just like completely on.
Oh yeah,
like...
this is just it's the part when she like can't sing, and and they keep playing the music, and you're like, oh no, she can't do it. There's no point in that film where you're like, yeah, she's just gonna go off and that's it. It's obvious that she's gonna look at the the boy, and all of a sudden she's got her confidence.
Yeah.
What did he? I think does he give her like a little bit of completely pointless information, like motivation? I feel like he said something like "Imagine you're somewhere" or something like that.
Oh,
In the shower?
Well, that is at the one point. There's a part where there's like he has loads of like cardboard cutouts and stuff.
Oh yes,
but the whole thing is that he like turns the lights off so that she can't see the audience.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the song that she's, I guess, building up to writing, isn't it? Through the film, it's going to be her big break into the music business. I mean, it would work.
Well, I mean, it will work because it's a tune.
So I mean, it was a very, very, very popular song. Reached the top 20 in every country it charted in. It was number 1 over here in the UK for only 1 week, though.
Surprising.
Number 1 in Australia, and it was triple platinum in both here and in Australia as well, which is pretty huge. And it was her last song to make it into the top 40 in Billboard Hot 100. So it peaked at number 11, and that was kind of her career. This is where it dropped. Like I say, she went on a big hiatus. She was trying to sort herself out. She tried to continue into pop, but I guess these songs kind of still do have a touch of that country root. Like it's not. It's like it's a pop song, but it's not like electrified, is it? It's still very like quite subdued, just letting the vocals kind of dominate. It's kind of like a Shania Twain-y sort of country, isn't it?
Yeah, and to not, well, I guess not alienate people that like dance music. This feels like it has more weight to it because it uses real instruments.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good way of putting it.
It's kind of Diane's style, though, isn't it? Like the other songs we've covered by her are kind of similar, like except for the one last year, which was like more of like was a little bit different. It was from that Italian film from memory.
Was that last year?
Was that last?
Yeah, it was.
I think that was last year, yeah. But the one from the year before, which we also covered, was like a country song, but again, I can't remember the film.
No, last year was Reba McEntire.
Oh, was that the one last year? Was it the year before that it was the...
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan.
Right. Yeah. So that the one last year was like much more like this kind of style. Like...
Yeah, it was in the Mila Kunis film, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So this is her normal, like, and like as well, like the song from Con Air and Aerosmith as well. They're all kind of similar in that they're sort of like country rock, style.
I mean, you can tell how her career was going because she released her greatest hits album at 21. I mean,
but how many albums had she had by then?
It's a good question. I don't know. I know her main big album was called Blue, which she released, I think, when she was 14, and that was when most of her success came off.
Let me Google it. What year was it when it came out, sorry?
Blue?
No, the greatest hits, sorry.
Oh, I think it's 2003.
Okay, it's 2003. She had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She'd had 7 albums by that point.
Oh my god.
I think her dad like drove around the country from the age of 9, like performing.
I'm just looking now. The first album came out when she was 9 years old.
I mean, it is pretty abusive, really. It's difficult when maybe a child is enjoying it, but I don't know. It's just it's laden with all like if she's enjoying it, she could just perform in her hometown. She could just perform locally. You don't have to take her around the entire country at 9.
She could just perform at a local Coyote Ugly bar.
Maybe not.
That local bar in New Jersey that plays I Will Survive.
Yeah. People sometimes describe this as Britney Spearsian, which is an actual term.
Surely it isn't.
I don't think it does sound like Britney Spears song.
I can see it a little bit.
Is it just a female pop star of the time? Have they just
Yeah.
gone, who's the biggest star at the moment? It's like her.
Yeah, I mean, that's very much like, that was the Christina Aguilera comparisons, I suppose, wasn't it, as well?
I think that like intro that Dee highlighted could be a little bit Spearsian.
Yeah.
It'd have to be more electro sounding. That sort of electro sound Britney had on all her original songs.
Yeah.
The bow sound.
Yeah. Of all there was various snippets and cuts from critical receptions from various huge magazines, Rolling Stones, laden with various positives. Of all the things to get added to like a Wikipedia page, BarnesandNoble.com praised the song, calling it ultra catchy. Is that the bar of musical criticism? Barnes and Noble. Do we have Barnes and Noble over here?
No.
Is it like it's like B&Q, right?
I thought it was a
bookseller.
bookseller.
Oh, it is a bookseller.
Yeah. I thought so.
Right, okay.
Or W.H. Smith's, I suppose, would probably be a good comparison. Because W.H. Smith sells like CDs and stuff, and they certainly did at one point in his life. So it's probably similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, this is niche. Not to you guys, but to our audience, this is niche. And stop me if you've heard this story, guys. There used to be a nightclub in Leeds called The Cockpit.
Nice.
Good nightclub,
Yep.
Decent price drinks. Always stank. That stink of like British
Very-
heritage of you being in a nightclub.
Yeah, it's very sticky.
I've earned my night out.
It was very sticky and the walls were wet.
Oh, always wet. In fact, it was like the streets of New York.
But you could do that amazing thing where you could stand in the middle really well and be like, no, this is the room I'm going to go in for the next 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, there was 3 rooms, of which 2 we only ever went in, which was the main room had rock music and the second room had pop music. Our favourite room was generally the second room, I think it's fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
So every week, for a while, I would request Can't Find the Moonlight to the DJ, and I get a scrunched up face, followed by a head shake.
I mean, that's just, you can request anything anywhere and that is the response you'll get.
That is true. I did this for weeks. Like every Saturday night, play Can't Find the Moonlight. No. Same again. No. So on and so forth, until eventually at some point, I can't remember how many weeks and months it had been, I went to the DJ booth, and before I could even say it, he went, I've got it, I'll play it, stop asking.
You were the Can't Find the Moonlight guy?
I would have preferred it if you'd have said, you'd have walked up there and like without him even saying anything, it just went, ding, ding.
as Dee walks in. And you get on that very, very, very small bar at the Cockpit.
Basically, he played it, and it got a good reaction, and it felt like my crowning achievement of being like 18, 19, going out, drinking in clubs. The Cockpit did close down a few years later, but I'm not taking any responsibility for that.
I bet the sounds of it are still lingering in those empty holes.
Oh.
Yeah. R.I.P. the Cockpit.
Top 5.
I've alluded to this already, but with top 5, where do you think I'm going?
Top 5 Coyotes.
Ooh, close.
Ooh.
Close.
Top 5 Uglies.
No. Top 5 Uglies. Now that could
Top
have landed us in a
5.
bit of hot water.
Is it top 5 LeAnn Rimes songs?
No. It's Can't Fight the Moonlight. What's always fighting the moonlight? Werewolves.
Oh,
Oh,
I wonder
right.
why you'd learn so heavily at the
Now,
beginning.
we've already gone Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet the Wolfman, so that one's out. I've combined lists, as I do, from Rotten Tomatoes, Collider, Empire, Screen Rant, and about 6 others to put together what are the internet's 5 most favorited werewolf films.
So are these films where like a werewolf is like a main character, like a central character? It's not like The Prisoner of Azkaban, for instance.
Okay, Harry Potter. No, Harry Potter I did not see it in any lists. So these are probably what you describe as maybe werewolf films.
Yeah, like monster movies type things.
Yes.
Okay.
It's all the Universal classics.
American Werewolf in London.
Number 1, one of the best films ever.
American.
Also a great song. We should do that. We should do that film.
Yeah, we should.
Dead
Yeah.
Moon Rising.
The Wolfman.
The Wolfman number 2. Go on, you're doing well. Could they do it?
No.
Werewolf.
Are you done?
Isn't there an American Werewolf in Paris? Or am I making that up?
No.
Is it just a film called American Werewolf?
Come on.
Werewolf films. Is there any werewolves in Blade?
No.
There isn't. There's one played by Triple H.
Okay.
Oh, Twilight.
Twilight was on a few lists, but it's not good. People were very quick to not put that at the top of many of their lists. British film, 2002. So I think it's set in the Scottish Highlands.
Black Sheep.
and it's one of the best.
I'm assuming it's not Black Sheep.
I've got a steelbook of it on my wall, and it says a bitch of a werewolf movie on it. Dog Soldiers. Have you seen Dog Soldiers?
No, never heard of it.
Oh,
No.
God, you got to see Dog Soldiers. I don't know if you'll get the others. One of them is a film I haven't seen since I was about 12. It's a Canadian, 2000 Canadian, starring no one.
Well, thanks. For
Is
It's
it
called
big-
Ginger Snaps.
Oh, I was going to say it's not Big Wolf on Campus, the film.
No, literally. No, I'm surprised no one even mentioned it. Anyone of our era, so, aged between 30 and 31. Oh, we're not 31 anymore, I'm 32. No!
How good was Big Wolf on Campus? They should bring
Big
that
Wolf on
back.
Campus was absolutely... I watched it recently, about 6 months ago back. It's shocking. Absolutely shocking of a TV show. The other film is a great horror film called The Howling. You need to watch more horror films.
Two.
Yeah, I was going to say the Marvel one.
We got the top two.
You got the top two, yeah. I thought you might only get one, so I'm happy. I'm very
Have
happy.
you guys seen Werewolf by Night?
Werewolf by Night?
The MCU Halloween special?
No.
Oh, you should watch it. It's really good.
Yeah, cool. I shall endeavour to do that. I see a demon rising. Oh, I could watch that.
CCR? TCB by CCR?
Yep. Could we just do an entire podcast on CCR songs? Because isn't there quite a few CCR songs in films?
Yeah. There's that one, American Son or whatever it's called, which is in every Vietnam
The one that's
film.
in every Vietnam film, isn't it? What's it called?
I think it's called American Son. It's called something like that.
Yeah,
Talking about the red, white, and blue.
Fortunate Son.
Fortunate Son.
He's no
Yes.
fortunate son.
Is it Fortunate Son?
So now it's time for us to decide what is better, the movie Coyote Ugly or the LeAnn Rimes banger Fight the Moonlight. Alex, you go first this week, as always.
It's definitely song. Definitely song for me this week. I don't feel like there's any justification needed. If you've seen the film and heard the song, it's an obvious choice.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I don't even think you need to have seen the film. I think if you'd have asked me this last week before I'd watched the film properly, I'd still be saying song.
You knew what you were going to say.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it means a lot to you, this song, by the sounds of it.
I genuinely don't know why I always used to ask for that one song. I think I remember just saying that, thinking, this will go down well with this crowd, and it just became a thing that I asked every time. Ben?
Yeah, it's the song. I mean, LeAnn Rimes has got two of the Hall of Fame movie songs. I don't know what's better, this or How Do I Live.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask what's the best Diane Warren song that we've covered.
That's what we should have done instead
The
of
best
movie or
Diane
song.
Warren song.
Yeah.
Oof, that's a
We've
different.
covered.
Well, that could be an
That
entire
we've covered,
podcast.
yeah, so far. Because there's many we haven't.
Yeah, I mean, the best Diane Warren song is Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
Probably. It's a good song.
Yeah.
And I'd say... I think How Do I Live is better than Can't Fight the Moonlight.
Okay.
I disagree, but not wholeheartedly.
That's enough for me, D.
Ask me again next week.
I'll pull you over this fence.
Okay, so that brings an end to another episode of That Song from That Movie. Let us know which one you prefer, the movie or the song, we're on more than one social media platform now, so on Twitter, Instagram, and Hive. Ben, what is our handle?
At TSFTM Pod.
So, yeah, we're on many different places now, so you need to follow all of them.
Well done.
So you can help the podcast by sharing this on a random subreddit, but Alex, what random subreddit should they share it on this week?
Johnny Knoxville.
Ah, yeah.
Wait. I've not got it.
Have you seen the movie Coyote Ugly, Ben?
Oh, right, okay. I was trying to make weird connections, I thought he'd gone so out of the box.
No, it's really simple. He was in the film.
I did look into this. He's in the film, but this is before the first episode of Jackass ever aired.
That is weird. But that also makes more sense.
Is it
Because
really?
of the scene, because there isn't much to it.
Yeah, so they said, what was it, August?
God,
and
I did not remember him. I did not remember him at all.
Jackass was October the same year.
I did not remember at all.
It's not a very memorable. Well, it's not even really a cameo because he wasn't somebody.
It also had, is it Caitlin Olsen? Is that her name?
Yeah.
From Always Sunny. She was in it as well.
She was in the auction, yeah. The weirdest bit was the photographer that was Michael Bay.
Oh, was it?
Really? Wow.
You can already tell that Michael Bay likes this film.
Oh, yeah.
No,
It
wow.
probably inspired him for Transformers.
He was probably the one who put the car accident in, just one step closer to an explosion in the film.
Maybe he just literally hit John Goodman.
Why is John Goodman?
Just bounced off him.
Is there a car crash in the first Transformers? Are we like realising they're set in the same universe?
Maybe Bumblebee hit him.
Yeah, let's go with that.
There's a reason he's on the run.
Coyote Ugly is Transformers canon.
Makes sense.
So you can all help the podcast by telling your friends, sharing this, signing up to our Patreon, buying our merch. All the links are in the episode notes. All that's left now is to do some goodbyes. So it's goodbye from myself, goodbye, and goodbye from Alex.
Not a dry seat in the house.
Makes no sense.
It makes some sense.
Man.
And goodbye from Ben.
I'm literally reading the script from Madagascar 3 and I just don't understand. It's brilliant.
It's matched up.
So goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Bye. You know, did it? Dinkelberg.
Dinkelberg.
What superpowers?
It could quote. It's like being back in year 7, just quoting Fairly Odd Parents.